It's here, guys. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom has finally released worldwide. And it's a very divisive movie amongst critics and the fan base, to say the least. Can anybody remember the last time that a big franchise movie was released and it wasn't divisive amongst critics and the fan base? Regardless, I find that a lot of criticism seems to be sort of missing the point of the ending, like, at least to my sensibilities. Why you might be missing the point of the ending of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Spoiler alert, obviously. One thing that I've seen pop up here and there when I'm reading or listening to criticisms of the movie is that like a central truth to the franchise has been betrayed. That central truth that Ian Malcolm is always right. Coincidentally enough, too, this is actually one of Ian Malcolm's leading theories, that he's always right. But here's my beef with that. I mean, the first most obvious thing is I think it's a fallacy to place that expectation on a series that has been going on for 25 years, that it can never challenge the belief structure or theories or opinions of its character. Of a character that's just supposed to be always right. A series should be able to challenge its central themes and its statements, especially the longer it runs and the older it gets. However, that's not even my biggest problem with this. My biggest problem with this is I don't know what movie you guys watched, and I hope I'm not coming off as like condescending, because I just like talking about this stuff. And if these are some of your complaints and critiques of the movie, I welcome you to join the conversation. I am not the final word on all things Jurassic, but I don't know what movie you guys watched, because from the movie I watched, Ian Malcolm still is right. They framed the movie with Ian Malcolm being right. The point of this movie, the statement that the filmmakers were trying to make, wasn't, we should make dinosaurs and then just release them into the wild, let them run around, hilly-dilly, scrappy. That's a thing, right? Hilly-dilly, scrappy. It's a thing now. That's not the message that I got from this movie. The message that I got from this movie was like, all right, well, I told you and you didn't listen. So now Pandora's box has been opened and there's no closing it. You can close the box, but nothing's going back in it. And I think that's the whole point of this movie. Like, that's the whole point of like every thread in this movie. Even the thread about saving the dinosaurs is about taking responsibility for the world that you just created, for the life that you just created. You know, another the central theme of Jurassic Park is parenthood, and that also bears mentioning too that like another central truth to this series is that the dinosaurs are alive, that they're not monsters, they're animals, and we should feel bad when bad things happen to the dinosaurs. I don't know what movie you watched if that's your complaint. However, that doesn't really address a lot of other people's complaints that it was really irresponsible to just let the dinosaurs free, and that the right thing to do would have been to let the dinosaurs die. Yeah, it sounds to me like you're doing exactly what this movie wanted you to do, taking that issue seriously. That was the point. There's a reason the filmmakers had the adults be like, oh shit, we can't do that. And then had a child who had an emotional connection to the issue at hand make the choice, because a child is more likely to make an irresponsible decision and more easily forgiven by the audience, theoretically at least. And if Owen or Claire had made that decision, it would sort of feel like the filmmakers themselves were making that statement that like, this is the right call. But they didn't. They had a child choose to do it. That said, motherfuckers, stop yelling at Maisie. Like, first of all, she's a child. Stop yelling at a kid. And her grandpa just died. Like, give it some time. I am so sick of people yelling at characters in movies for the decisions they make. Like, for the decisions they make that are fueled by emotion and not intellect. Like, that said, let it go with Peter Quill, too. That does not make a bad movie. That makes a well-written movie because human beings act like human beings. Human beings they're not Batman. They don't just make the right choice all the time. They're not Ian Malcolm. They're not just always right no matter what. She's a child. Her decision vibes within the context of the central theme of this movie. And 3, she has a good point. Even if you don't agree with her, you can't say she doesn't have a good point. Dude, she's a clone. She didn't ask to be born, and neither did those dinosaurs. So if everyone decides that they should just let Maisie die because it was irresponsible to have created her and that we shouldn't let this type of thing go on, I think Maisie would really appreciate it if someone was like, nah, fuck that, I'm gonna hit the red button. That's Maisie. You can't kill Maisie. She's cool. She's cool. She's a lot cooler than that kid from Jurassic Park 3. She pressed the button because she wouldn't have been able to live with herself if she hadn't. I have no problems with that. This is a story about people. It's about characters, about humans and dinosaurs, both of which deserve to live. And even if you disagree, you can't say that that's not a good point or that there's no argument there. And lastly, before I get to the real problem with the ending, the point of this movie is not that dinosaurs are now going to rampage and they're going to take over and it's going to be Planet of the Dinosaurs. That's not what it's saying. Like 20, 30 dinosaurs escaped and everybody's complaining like, I don't see what the threat is. We're supposed to be scared that Rexy is going to go on a rampage when they can just send the military, the armed forces out and take care of this in a day. Again, let's bring back to what Dr. Malcolm was talking about. He was talking about how dangerous dinosaurs and building a dinosaur park is. I think that's actually one place he was a little off. The idea that a dinosaur park could never work that's a little bit of hyperbole. But that wasn't his main point. In much the same way that the movie is not a cautionary tale about why we shouldn't create dinosaurs. It's a cautionary tale about unbridled scientific progress and commercial genetic manipulation and stuff like that. It's a cautionary tale about the technology, and that is what is out. And also, don't downplay the dinosaurs, dude. A bunch of Gallimimus and Compies got out. I wouldn't be surprised if those Gallimimuses are in South America already, just decimating the rainforest by eating all its crops. You guys are worried about Rexy going on another rampage? No, I'm worried about the Compies going out and just killing everyone's livestock and spreading disease in the fucking jungles of South America, which wipes out the fruit bat population, which allows mosquitoes to go unchecked, and then we all get malaria and die. That's the real thing to be worried about. Or how about the Allosaurus that the Russians just took? Wow, this is all illustrated actually in the way that Wu became flustered because this is all out of his hands now. Look at him in Jurassic World. Even when he's talking to Masrani, he's like, I am so fucking fly. He is so sure of himself. In this one, he is just like, what? No. What are you doing? No. Oh, God. Because he knows what's happened. It's what Malcolm was warning about. Butterfly flaps its wings in China. We get a hurricane. What are you going to do about that? You're going to go gun the fucking butterfly down with your armed forces? Okay. Unload as many submachine guns on the butterfly as you want. It already flapped its wings. That was the whole point. It wasn't that butterflies are dangerous and we can't let them free. It's that you're playing around with things, the consequences of which you might not be prepared to take responsibility for. So I wouldn't be worried so much about Planet of the Dinosaurs. I think they're aware of the fact that Rexy isn't just gonna fucking rampage across the United States of America. Now, if you ask me, the real problem with this scene, let me get a sip of my tea, is that it's not expert writing. The major question of this movie is whether we save the dinosaurs or we let them die. And the reason that's a question, like I was saying, is because it's our responsibility to do one or the other. Whether we choose to save them, if we're saving them, it's because, like, yo, we made this life, we introduced this life to the earth, we gave it breath and a drive to live and a heart and a brain and feelings and thoughts. It is our responsibility to now not abandon this, our child that we've created. Or should you say we let the dinosaurs die? Again, you're saying, well, it's like Malcolm was saying, we introduced this into the world and now it's our responsibility to let nature correct it or to correct the mistake ourselves if we can. So I'm not taking one side or the other. I'm saying that is the central question of the movie. And I think since this is the second in a franchise, it's not fair to assume that the way this movie ended is like that's the answer. That's the stance that the movie is taking. How do the second part in a trilogy usually play out? The second part in a trilogy, Empire Strikes Back, Jack Sparrow goes to the orthodontist. What's the second one in that movie called? I don't know. The second one generally ends on a down note because it knows that the third chapter that's going to follow it is going to need to bring closure. So bringing closure in the second chapter would be premature and render the third chapter pointless. I'm getting way off base. Sorry, this is why I do podcasts and not YouTube videos. What was I saying? The problem with this scene. The problem with this scene is that the writing is sort of fumbled because the central question of the movie, do we save the dinosaurs or do we let the dinosaurs die, has been obstructed, I guess you could say, by the narrative. The dinosaurs have already been saved. So since we've already saved the dinosaurs, it's a task for the narrative to now answer the question. Like, the movie needs to answer that question, and that's best set up within the context of the narrative. Show, don't tell. It's better to have the action of the movie direct you towards, like, a certain answer to the question than to just have the characters outright state, I think it is right that we do this. Even when characters have their opinions, it generally serves to further the narrative so that the narrative can challenge those opinions or serve as an example of those opinions, I guess. The problem is the dinosaurs have already been saved and the movie's getting close to being over and we still need to answer this question. Oh God, the dinosaurs are in trouble of dying again. How convenient. So my problem with this is just like suddenly in the third act, with no foreshadowing of this being an issue, to my memory at least, the dinosaurs are suddenly in peril because there's poisonous gas gonna leaking out and kill them. I sound like I'm being really skeptical. It doesn't bother me. I'm just pointing out that the problem is the writing and the way that they suddenly introduce this conflict of the dinosaurs are going to die again, and it's completely unrelated to anything that's happened in this movie leading up to it. It's just reintroducing that central question and theme of the movie so that it can finally be answered. And I think that's the one area of the movie, of the plotting of the movie, where they could have developed a little further maybe. Regardless, this isn't a video about whether or not I liked Fallen Kingdom or whether or not you liked Fallen Kingdom. This is just a video about the ending and how I feel a lot of popular criticisms may be missing the point. That said, if you disagree, I would love to continue the discussion. I know YouTubers are always saying like, oh, what's your favorite type of poisonous gas? Leave your comments below. I'm not just trying to drive up my comments, guys. The whole point of this series is that there is no last word on Jurassic Park. The reason I do this is because I want to interact with the Jurassic Park fandom because my friends and family are sick of hearing me talk about it, to be quite frank. So please, let's keep the conversation going. I've got all sorts of cool Jurassic Park videos I've been planning. I'm actually working on a really, really dope one that I wanted to be my first episode, but Fallen Kingdom's out, guys. I had to talk about Fallen Kingdom. So I'll be back soon. In the meantime, please check out my other shows. I've got Fairpoint Podcast and Sylph Radio, a Pokemon podcast, all of which can be found at www.secretroommultimedia.com. roommultimedia.com. Let's keep discussion on this franchise alive. I will talk to you guys again in the near future. Be safe.